So in this video, I wanted to take a quick look at some roller balls that use fountain pen ink. These are usually known as cartridge style or refillable roller balls. And what they are is just a standard roller ball, that conical tip, but they tend to have a fountain pen type feed. And then they use either a fountain pen style cartridge or a dedicated cartridge that uses fountain pen type ink. Not all of them use fountain pen ink necessarily, but it's kind of like you get a fountain pen refill system and put it onto a roller ball. So these are, I would just say as background, pretty problematic pens because to get a fountain pen ink to use that little ball there, you typically want a thicker ink, where fountain pen ink is definitely looser and more watery. But if you go with a true fountain pen ink, the chance of there being leaking through that ball rises dramatically. So it ends up being a real challenge. So you could increase the tolerance there, but then you get a scratchy pen or it doesn't put down enough ink. So there's multiple problems here going on where you want writing with quality through the ball without leaking. The cheapest model that I would recommend, in fact, one of the only models I would recommend in this series of pens is called this. It's called the J. Urbine, and it's just called like the refillable rollerball. That's typically what you're looking for, refillable rollerball or cartridge rollerball. If you Google like rollerballs that use fountain pen ink, you might find something, but it's going to be a challenge. So you got to search around for these. This one sells for about $11. It's easy to find. It's a small pen. It's definitely undersized. Look at it next to this kind of standard Pilot V7. So it's definitely small, but it will post. So posted, it's a good size. All plastic build, nothing too fancy there. All plastic there, kind of standard parts. It uses a standard international refill. This is just a Cove Echo blue. And again, for $12, it's actually not a bad writer. Might put down some inks a little bit heavy, but fountain pen inks vary a lot. So you kind of got to find the right one because obviously you can't tune this ball mechanism. That is what it is. So you have to tune it using the ink. So again, that's the J. Urbine. $11, $12 refillable rollerball. This one right here is called a Monteverde Engage One Touch or One Touch Engage, something like that. And this is actually one of the highest end pens in the series, like this style, I guess. It sells for maybe $60, $70, something like that. I bought this one used. And this is a really large pen. Look at it next to this. And here it is next to. So it's a really big pen, and it uses a push button mechanism that sort of only works when it's upside down. I don't know if that's for like protection or what, protect your pocket, but it not only does it only work when it's upside down, but it kind of, the push button barely works, I will say. But it is an interesting mechanism. It's just not a good pen. Inside, there's a standard fountain pen style converter, a really big spring, and then the kind of rollerball system. I have standard Lamy blue ink in here. And again, this is the Monteverde One Touch Engage. This is an okay writer, but it does not write any better than the $11 J. Urbine. It almost feels like they have the same rollerball system in there because almost all the pens like these like converted fountain pens, really write very similarly. It's very strange. Anyway, so you could push the button. Again, it has to be sideways or inverted, and even then it only works most of the time. And then this one you take apart from the front. You can see this is a big metal piece. Rather heavy, has a really big spring, and then we have that kind of standard rollerball feed system. This is actually replaceable, which the ball does wear out over time, and since you can't throw out the refill, you have to replace this piece here, and it sells for about $25. Here we have a standard screw style or piston style converter. It also comes with a little piece here, a spacer, so you can use an international standard cartridge if you want to do that. And then this just fits in there, and this tightens down. So this is an interesting pen. I would definitely not recommend it. I bought this one used for not very much money, and it's still not something I tend to use very much. It kills me that the push button doesn't work all the time. It's kind of a solved problem, but still they had problems with it. Anyway, so I do not recommend this one, but it is an interesting kind of artifact. One of my favorite, probably my favorite pen in this series is the Pilot High-Tech Point V7. And this is kind of just a standard version, the Japanese version, in fact, of a Pilot Precise V7. But the Precise is not refillable unless you pull this tip off and put ink in there. It's actually kind of a pain. Whereas the High-Tech Point, first of all, comes in this really awesome matte blue. I really do love that finish. But this one you could open up, and you can see it uses a standard Pilot style cartridge in there, which is really cool. You could pull this out and replace it. But you don't want to put a Pilot fountain pen cartridge in there. Pilot actually sells dedicated rollerball cartridges in there. So these are Pilot High-Tech Point cartridges, and they look just like this. They look, in fact, exactly like Pilot fountain pen cartridges, but they're actually, the ink has a slightly different consistency, I believe. So that's super cool. And this is a great writer, and these things only sell for maybe $3 or $4 each. And it kind of gets you a lot of the benefits of this, except you're not using fountain pen ink. So this is the High-Tech, I think there's no H in there, High-Tech Point V7. The High-Tech Point does have a V10, but this is not refillable like the V7 and the V5. So you have to be careful what you're getting. The V10 is a great writer, but it's the V10 grip. I did a article on Unsharpened explaining all those, but it is a little bit crazy. So this is not a rollerball that uses fountain pen ink. It's just a cartridge or a refillable rollerball. So if that's what you're looking for, this is really definitely the best option. If you want something to use fountain pen ink, still go with the JR Beam. I've tried these with fountain pen ink in it, and you have to be careful because most of the time it won't leak, but eventually you will get one that leaks. So just watch out there. There are other pens sold out there, but I don't unfortunately have too many of them. One of the most popular ones was this. Well, not exactly this though. This is the Zebra V301. That's the fountain pen version. This same pen is sold in something called the R301, which is a rollerball version. So instead of having the fountain pen tip, it has a rollerball tip, but everything is exactly the same. It's no longer made, and it's a little bit hard to find, but it looks exactly like this, again, with a different tip. I've had 3 or 4 of them over the years, and they're okay writers, and they only sell for about maybe $5 or $6, but I lost mine, and I just cannot find it. So you can look for a Zebra R301 rollerball, and I have a video about that at least once or twice in the past, so you can check that out. It's pretty nice, has a stainless steel body, plastic grip, some more steel up front. It's not a great writer, but it's okay, and it is an interesting way to dip your toe in the water. That actually uses these Zebra V301, in this case it would be an R301 refill. So again, it's not something you'd be using fountain pen ink for. You could refill this with fountain pen ink, but when I've done that in the past, it has leaked, which is why I don't have too many of these. Probably why I can't find my R301. I think I threw it out or lost it when it leaked. Also, pens out there is, so this is a Schneider fountain pen. Again, this is the fountain pen, but this same exact pen is sold in a rollerball system. And you open it up, you put a standard refill in there, and instead of having a fountain pen, again, this is a rollerball. And these things sell for maybe $10 or $12. And that would be called like the Schneider, the Ray, or the Voice. There's a few of them. I have them all on an article on unsharpened.com. You should check out. Another pen that is no longer made is Cove Echo. So these guys, the Cove Echo Sport. You can see this one has a Schmidt kind of Parker style G2 refill in it, but these used to be made in a refillable rollerball. They stopped selling them in like maybe 2011, 2012, and I actually don't even have one. I've been trying to track one down, but they're not that easy to find. So that you're looking for, it's called a, how's that refill doing? It's a Cove Echo cartridge rollerball. So if you could find one of those or you have one, let me know. But they were made, stopped being made maybe 7-8 years ago. This is what it replaced it. It's called the Cove Echo Rollerball, and it uses a, in this case, I have a ballpoint in there, but it uses a gel refill, and those you can get all day long for about $20, but again, it's not exactly what we're looking for here. Another way I would say you could dip your toe in the water, and one of my favorites is this. This is called a Stabilo Bionic. And this uses a really nice, loose rollerball ink. It feels like a fountain pen. Again, it has a rollerball tip. And if you open this one up, you can see it uses this weird extended refill. And the only reason you make a refill so big is because it uses a very watery, quick running fountain pen style ink. So that's what's in here. It uses a really nice, smooth writing, watery ink, and I really like this one a lot. These pens, they're easy to find in Europe, actually difficult to find in the US. Here you can buy them in the US for maybe $8, $9, and it's very cool. This thing you can refill with fountain pen ink. Again, as I keep saying, as a caveat, you do have to be careful. But this thing is only a 0.4 millimeter, but it writes like a 1.0 millimeter because it's using that fountain pen style ink. And this one actually has a nice grip to it. It's actually pretty cool looking. It's definitely not a pen you see every day. This is nice grippy rubber, but with a cool hard plastic window in there, and it has Stabilo's little roll stop here. It's really a cool company. Really great pen, again, about $10. This is called the Bionic. Don't confuse these with the Schneider, because the Schneider will be much simpler, not as nice, and usually generally more expensive. I don't even have one of the Schneiders, but I do like this fountain pen, so I need to pick up some of those. The last one, and people probably say I should have said this earlier, is the Noodlers, like the ink. They sell a pen called the Conrad, and that's a refillable rollerball. I do not have one. They sell for about $25, and they get really poor reviews, so I've kind of avoided one. I'll pick one up sooner or later. But it's interesting because almost all the pens in this refillable or cartridge rollerball system get really bad reviews, which tend to have the worst of all worlds, like the least good writing of a rollerball, and then the most leaks like a bad fountain pen. So it's a really interesting category, very quirky. So I would say definitely avoid hunting anything down, avoid spending too much. So the used ones, the ones that aren't made anymore, just totally put out of your mind. If you want to dip your toe in the water, definitely get the J.R. Bean for about $12. If you want a more traditional rollerball style, then you have the Stabilo, which is quite nice, or definitely the best in breed by a very long shot is the Pilot V7 high-tech point. This is just a great pen. So that about covers it. Thanks for watching.